Clive Cussler. What comes to mind when you hear that name? My first encounter with Clive Cussler came about maybe 6 to 7 years ago when I was writing my first book. Now, I can create some decent characters, I can write some decent dialogue, but plots are definitely my weak area. And so I was looking up, hey, who are the best authors when it comes to plot? And every single list had Clive Cussler. So I thought, okay, if Clive Cussler's on there, I should probably check out some of his books. Now, I had not read many adventure thrillers at that point, and so I picked up Clive Cussler, and the first book that I was reading of his was Valhalla Rising. The story was about some sort of mysterious oil, about some sort of energy, perfect oil that, it disappeared, it could teleport. It was interesting, if nothing else. It kept my attention, and I was reading it, and it was a competent book, and I was fine. I was going along. And so it came to this one point in the book, and if you have read Clive Cussler, you know in the book what point I'm talking about. That's in every book. They had gone down in a submersible, and these are marine, exploration. This is Numa, and they go down, they explore shipwrecks, they try to take care of marine biology, and so they go down in the submersible, and as they're down in the submersible, their ship on top of the water, their boat, is hijacked by modern day pirates, and everyone's kidnapped, and they take the boat. And so when they come up in the submersible, there's nothing there. They are stuck in the water. And I was invested at this point, because I was thinking, my gosh, they are outside of all maritime channels. They are outside of all the main shipping traffic. There's no one who's going to just stumble upon them or come across them. They have no ways to communicate to their headquarters. What are they going to do? Then came that moment. That moment in every Clive Cussler book, which I did not know at the time. So up comes this double hull catamaran, this state-of-the-art, beautiful ship, and on board is a man. This man has gray hair, he has sparkling blue eyes, a twinkle in his eye, and our hero, Dirk Pitt, says, "You look kind of familiar. Do I know you?" And I'm thinking, wonder what's going on here. And this man who comes up in the boat out of nowhere in the middle of the entire ocean says, "My name is Clive Cussler." Are you kidding me? He wrote himself into his own book. Not only is this a true Deus Ex Machina, he's the god. He made himself the Deus Ex Machina in his own book. So here's this unbelievably ridiculous scenario in which they have no hope of getting out, and I'm seriously wondering, like, okay, here's the hero, the hero of plotting, here's the true plot master. What is he gonna do? How are they gonna get out of this? I can't even think about what they might be able to do. I don't know much about boating and ocean. Oh, he just wrote himself into it, and he literally came with a boat in the middle of the ocean, picked them up, said, "What do you guys need?" They said, "Hey, we need to send a message to our Numa headquarters." He said, "Oh, well, use my sat phones, use my top of the line world-class technology. You can send a message. Do you need to get anywhere?" And they say, "Yes, we need to get to this island or this place, that's the next spot." He said, "Oh, I can take you there." So he shows up out of the blue, rescues them. "Do you need to send a communications?" "Yes, we do." "Okay, you can do that." "Do you need to be dropped off somewhere?" "Yes, we need to be dropped off somewhere." "Okay, I can do that." "All right, see you later. My name's Clive Cussler. I'm the author." Oh my gosh. As a writer myself, I was horrified. The idea that just to come up with someone who, just out of the blue, is just traveling along. Heidi ho, what do you guys need? I've got it. Oh, you guys are climbing a cliff? I just happen to have 45 ropes on me, and they're world-class climbing ropes. I was so, I was, I was just baffled by this. I was gobsmacked. So, I had put that aside. I mean, I just even the writing itself felt very Nancy Drewish. Hardy Boys describes all their clothing, every single change of clothes, the buttons, the cardigans, the sweaters, the pleated skirts, the just everything. I don't care. It's got the usual adventure, silly dialogue where there's one-liners, and they could be in the middle of a deadly car chase or trapped underwater, and they're still saying stuff like, "Oh, good day to take a swim, huh?" Or, "If I'd known we'd be underwater this long, I hope we don't get pruny." I mean, just, and that's usual. That's standard fare. There's nothing wrong with that dialogue, but it was just all of that on top of the fact that he wrote himself into his own book to save the heroes in an impossible situation made me so mad. Fast forward maybe a few months, and a friend of mine says to me, "Hey, Mark, I've got this book that I think is right up your alley. I think you'd really enjoy." I like reading, so I said, "Okay." But I kid you not, in my gut, in my heart, I had this feeling, this is going to be a Clive Cussler book, isn't it? I'm serious. I really did have this feeling that I bet this is a Clive Cussler book, because he's got enough of them. I mean, the guy is successful. I mean, he has written gobs of books. So I figured, okay, all right, this is a friend. I'll read this. Whatever. The plot, I honestly don't remember this book. I don't remember which one it was. It had to do with some like hidden Nazi cult that was going to take over the world, and they had an Arctic substation that was going to be their headquarters. And so I'm thinking, okay, I enjoyed the plot a lot more. I was enjoying the book more. I'm reading, I'm going along. We get to the third act, we get to the finale, and they've got to get to this Arctic station where these neo-Nazi, world terrorists are going to be, and they get stranded in the middle of the Arctic with no communication, with no hope of getting to where they need to go. And my heart constricted inside my chest. I had a hard time breathing because I was thinking, oh my gosh, we're doing this again, aren't we? For any Clive Cussler reader, yep, we're doing it again. They run across this old silver-haired man who he and his team are restoring this multi-million-dollar snow crawler, a snow transport, an Arctic transporter. Do I recognize you? You look familiar. Oh, my name's Clive Cussler. The twinkle in his eye, his sparkly blue eyes. Hey, would you like to borrow my multi-million-dollar snow crawler that I just restored to get to point B that you're going to? Probably also had communication in it if you need to communicate. It's pretty armored too, so if they've got guns, this could protect you against those. And they did it again. And at that point, I didn't know. I about threw the book across the room. I couldn't stand it. Same sort of writing style too. The same, describe every outfit, I think, he uses the word grin probably 140 times in the first chapter. But all that aside, the writing's competent. Clive Cussler, millions and millions of copies sold. Clearly a popular and well-loved author. And I did not love this author, but I gained a new perspective a couple months ago. I cut yards for a side hustle in my neighborhood. I have a few yards that I cut, and for me, this is a good time to listen to books. Either listen to podcasts or I listen to books. And so if you are someone who likes audiobooks, definitely download Overdrive. It syncs up with your local libraries. If you've got a library card, you can use Overdrive, and it's free checkouts for tons and tons of books. They've got new titles, old titles. You don't have to waste a lot of money on Audible. You don't have to have any monthly subscriptions. You just need a library card. So download Overdrive, use Overdrive. But I listen to lots of books while I'm doing chores, while I'm cutting the grass, while I'm driving. And I like sci-fi a lot. I like sci-fi, horror, thrillers, just lots of things. I'll read fantasy occasionally, but I found out with sci-fi and fantasy, particularly if they're heavy, thick, meaty books, it is very difficult to follow the names, the places, all the intricacies, and the plot changes and the twists. And so if you're doing something while you're listening to the book, it's very easy to lose place and lose track of who's who and where did they go and wait, who's this now and what place are we in again? So I stopped listening to some of those types of books. But a book that is perfect for listening to while you're driving, mowing the grass, doing chores, where you can kind of drift in and out of the story as you're taking care of business, is a Clive Cussler story. I have a good friend who Clive Cussler is one of their favorite authors. I've read all of their books. And when I heard that, I kind of, how in the world do you love Clive Cussler? Are you kidding me? I mean, he writes himself in every book. Like, who does that? And he responded and said he loved Clive Cussler books because you knew what you were getting. It was familiar characters, familiar storylines, the same formula. You could easily jump into the book. You knew what was going to happen, which to me was the reason why you wouldn't want one of those books. But for him, it was the idea that when he's reading, he wants to escape. He doesn't want to have to think through everything. He just wants to be entertained and get some hours of escape. And the Clive Cussler books are perfect for that. So you know the characters. You've got the familiar setups. You've got the familiar plots. I'm actually listening to one now, and this is maybe the 4th or 5th book, but I can tell how it's going to go. I know who the villain is, in the first 15 pages. You know what the plot's going to be like. And for him, it was an easy, quick way to engage and be invested in the book and not have to think through and reason through and try to wrap his head around. He just wanted to read a book and enjoy it. And the Clive Cussler books are perfect for that. Their point, their whole focus of those books is to entertain and tell a fun, fast-moving story. And Clive Cussler does that perfectly. And those books accomplish that. The other thing is this. If you are an author, you can do anything you want in your books. And if you are someone clearly as successful and prolific as Clive Cussler, you can absolutely do anything you want in your books. It's the old adage of, you don't like that movie, you don't like how they wrote that book, why don't you write your own book? Why don't you make your own movie? And you can do whatever you want in it, including putting yourself in it to save the day when the heroes are lost and in despair. And Clive Cussler does that. And he has every right to do that. Whether I like it or not, I can imagine that this is similar to, although much more intrusive, than Alfred Hitchcock's little cameos, M.L. Night Shyamalan appearing in his movies. If you're making your own stuff, why not put yourself in it? You can do anything you want. You can name characters after friends and family. So although I do not like Clive Cussler books, I don't like the fact that where's Clive going to show up. I understand the appeal. I understand why people like his books. I understand the fun where's Waldo moment of where's Clive going to show up in his book, what's the moment going to be, what's the scenario, what's the scene. So read whatever you like. I don't like the books. Lots of people do. There's nothing wrong with that. There are lots of people who hate Stephen King, Tom Clancy, John Grisham, and I'm sure they're totally okay with that. But read whatever you like, whatever you do, just read, read, read. Enjoy your books, enjoy whatever genres, whatever authors you like. As for Clive Cussler, I'm gonna pass. My name is Mark Taylor. As always, keep reading and know that you're more valuable than you could possibly imagine.